Welcome to the next episode of the Gallic War. In the last episode, the two military leaders, Caesar and Ariovistus, discussed whether they could agree on peace or there would be war. Ariovistus could no longer accept the aggressive politics of the Romans and launched a tirade of hatred towards Caesar. How did he respond to that? Caesar remained calm. He replied that he could neither abandon his Gallic allies, nor did Ariovistus have more claim to the land than the Romans. If one follows the argument of the time presented, it could be stated that the Romans were there earlier than he was. As early as 121 BC, Quintus Fabius Maximus defeated the Arverni and Ruteni in battle. Thanks to the generosity of the Romans, the Gauls were forgiven and neither occupied land nor demanded tribute. In addition, he, Gaius Julius Caesar, was bound by instructions from the Senate, which in turn wanted Gaul to be free. After the war, the tribes were supposed to maintain their independence. During the trial, it was reported to Caesar that the Germanic horsemen were getting closer to the hill and began throwing stones and missiles at the Roman horsemen. Caesar then abruptly ended the conversation and gave the order not to be provoked by the missiles and to withdraw calmly. 2 days after the conversation, Ariovistus asked for a new one, but he had no interest in continuing the negotiations himself. The chances of a compromise were slim, but the chance of an ambush was getting greater. So he sent envoys, who appeared to have the lowest risk of capture. He chose Gaius Valerius Procillus, who in his opinion was a brave and educated young man, familiar with the Gaulish language and cultural practices. Marcus Metius, who was in hospitality with Ariovistus, was supposed to help him. When the two entered the Germanic camp, they were immediately welcomed by Ariovistus, but not in a friendly way. "Why are you coming to us? You're Roman spies, right? Put them in chains." On the same day, the Suebi king advanced with his troops and camped 9 kilometers from the Roman camp. The next day, he moved around them with the intention of cutting off the grain supply. For 5 days in a row, Caesar had his troops moved out of the camp, but the Germans did not engage in battle. Apart from a daily skirmish between riders, nothing happened. In the cavalry battles, the Germanic tribes used the following tactics. They sent 6,000 cavalry and 6,000 foot soldiers. Each rider was assigned a foot soldier for personal protection. The riders would retreat to the selected soldier if they were injured or the battle became too intense, and they would swarm out again when the opportunity presented itself. This made it possible to minimize the losses of the horsemen, who were always the most valuable part of an army. After the 5 days, the Roman general realized that the Germans would not go into battle, and so he had to take action if he did not want to remain permanently cut off from the supply. So he chose a suitable place, 900 meters from the Germanic camp, and marched there in a threefold battle line. Ariovistus, in turn, sent more than 10,000 men to prevent the Roman legionaries from building the camp. The legionnaires were still able to complete their entrenchment work, and the camp was set up. Caesar then ordered 2 legions and some of the auxiliary troops to be left in the camp that had just been completed and returned with the rest to the larger one. The following day, he had his troops moved out and gave the enemy another opportunity to fight. But once again, there was no battle, and so he ordered a retreat around midday. Only now did the enemy soldiers begin to move towards the smaller camp. There was fierce fighting until night fell. The Germanic tribes withdrew. Some of their fighters were captured, and so they were questioned. Caesar wondered why Ariovistus didn't want to engage into a decisive battle, and the prisoners answered him as follows.
"It is our custom that our family mothers use lottery sticks and prophecies to announce whether it is advantageous to fight or not. Until now, it had not been the will of the gods to battle the Romans. They predicted that the Germanic people would only be victorious when the new moon appeared in the sky."
How will Caesar react? Will there still be a decisive battle? Can the Germanic people be driven out? You'll find out all this and much more in the next episode. See you next time, your geek philosopher.